following world television premiere is a special presentation of the Discovery Channel.
In sleep, we go back to our ancestors. Our dreams then connect us to our country, to our land, and it's the way back to the dream time.
Dreaming is universal. It unites all people across boundaries of age, sex, race, and religion.
I'd say that dreams are the doorway to spiritual experience for everyone.
When we fall asleep, we are in touch with ourselves.
Everyone dreams about all the important things in their lives, and their ultimate and inevitable death is on that list of important things.
We know that if we die, we go back to the dream world. We go back to our world.
The Aboriginal dream time is the starting point of time, where time started, where people came into being, and when the whole world was created. It's very important to tell our children about our dream time, to help them not lose their culture. Dreaming for Aboriginal people is part of everything we are.
In the beginning of the dream time, when the world was in darkness, Purukapali, the first man, found fire by rubbing two sticks together. His sister, the sun woman, took one, and his friend Japara, the moon man, the other. Together they traveled across the sky with the torches of blazing bark. At the western horizon, they extinguished the flames using the smoldering ends to light their journey through the darkness to the eastern horizon. The first light of dawn was made by the sun woman, lighting a fire for the bark.
Like all Australian Aborigines, the Tiwi on Melville Island believe that the world was created thousands of years ago by powerful ancestral spirits during a period they call the dream time. Today, the sun, the moon, all things, and all living creatures are transformations of these original dreaming spirits, through which Aborigines continue to find their personal identity and their profound connection to the universe. The mysteries of the sacred are clear to Aborigines, revealed to them through the dream time. But for most of us, the connection is more elusive, and in the quest for meaning, our dreams can take on a special significance. For modern people, dreams are a personal, powerful means of staying in touch with our instinctive spiritual side.
These are called dream catchers.
In the American nursery school, as in the Australian bush, from a tender age, children both share their own dreams and learn the collective dreams revered by the culture they are growing up in.
Any bad dreams that would come would get caught. Somewhere between 18 months and 3 years of age, children start describing their dreams. Children's dreams help them ask questions like, why are people mean? Is there a God? Where did the world come from? And their dreams respond to these sorts of existential or spiritual questions, just like adults' dreams do. I got stuck in that Barney suit.
Active as a parent at his son's nursery school, Bulkley is also a visiting scholar at the Graduate Theological Union of the University of California. He is studying the impact of dreams on the major religions.
Many of the world's great religious and spiritual traditions have dream experiences at their very heart. Dreams in the Hebrew tradition were considered a direct means of communication between God and humans that the Jewish people needed to listen to and understand for them to prosper. Once upon a time, long time ago, there's a young man named Jacob, and he lived with his mommy and his daddy and his brother named Esau. Jacob's dream is a very important dream in the Old Testament. Jacob had been fleeing from his brother Esau, and so Jacob was out in the wilderness, frightened, alone, being pursued by his vengeful brother Esau. At the end of the day, he was tired.
I'm going to tell you the best part of it. Because when Jacob was lying out in the desert all by himself and it was cold, and then he put a rock under his head because he didn't have a pillow. And he thought he heard animals out there. And he lay down and he went to sleep. And while he was sleeping, he had a dream. You know what he saw in that dream? What? He saw a ladder going up into the sky and back down again to the earth. I'll show you the picture now. See? There it is. There's Jacob sleeping. And there's the ladder. And the angels going up and down, up and down.
The fact that the angels are going up and down, it's suggesting that the connection between the divine and the human moves both ways. Jacob's dream of the heavenly ladder provides an excellent example of what I call root metaphor dreams. These are the sorts of dreams that help us grasp the ungraspable, that help us understand these deeply spiritual questions that all humans ask.
The New Testament Bible indicates that the beginning of Christianity owes much to the prophetic dream warnings which saved the Christ child from destruction. But in later Christian times, dreams came to be associated more with witchcraft and satanic influences.
This stands in direct contrast to the role of dreams in Islamic traditions around the same time, the Middle Ages, where dream interpreters were considered great religious leaders and authorities. Dreams were profoundly important in the life of Muhammad, the founder of Islam. And one night in a cave in the mountains, the angel Gabriel came to him in a dream vision. And Gabriel began instructing him on the verses and chapters that became the Quran.
Another religious scholar whose research includes the dreams of the Muslim faith is Reverend Jeremy Taylor.
It's clear from the Quran and from the historical records of the life of Muhammad that he told his dreams and listened to the dreams of his followers on a daily basis. The call to prayer, for instance, came to one of his followers in a dream, and Muhammad instructed the dreamer to teach that prayer that he had heard in his dream to the first muezzin.
Ever after, 5 times a day, Muslims everywhere bow to God when they hear the muezzin chant the call to prayer.
All the major religions of the world are in astonishing unanimity in their assertion that human beings are closer to the divine when they dream than in any other ordinary state of awareness. I'd say that dreams are the doorway to spiritual experience for everyone.
In my dream, I go to the spiritual world. To me, dreaming is that certain element that everyone in the world has common understanding of. And I think that that's the kind of universal connection.
Dreams are a universal experience. There are certain themes worldwide that are common. At life transitions, we have what I call turning point dreams. When we're going through normal kinds of crises, like having a child or getting married or graduating.
That's an incredibly detailed dream that, you know...
Alan Siegel is a San Francisco dream therapist, and like the other men in this discussion group, his wife is expecting a baby.
During pregnancy, men dream about feeling alienated or excluded. So getting a group of men together to talk about dreams or about feelings is a statement affirming men's emotional experience during pregnancy. Tom is expecting his first baby 1 week from now.
The dream started out with a feeling of pressure on my chest and on my stomach. I was looking in the mirror to see what was causing the pressure. And if there was something that I could visibly see on the outside, and there wasn't. And in the mirror, I noticed a nightstand. I remember the detail of the wood, and it had a sliding door opened by itself, and there was a baby inside. And then I remember opening up the bottom door, and it was empty. The baby in the drawer was just like a matter of fact. You know, it was like, it wasn't a surprise. It was supposed to be there.
Tom's dream is a wonderful example of a male pregnancy dream. When the drawer spontaneously opens and the baby is there, this is his wish to share unconsciously in the birth process itself.
I really thought of something different, that the nightstand is your wife, kind of that she is you and you are her, that you're looking in the mirror and she's carrying the baby.
That's an interesting angle, actually.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
I always think of babies coming out of the lower portion. Lower I think of as a more physical theme, and that upper is a more intellectual theme, that ultimately it's done in your head rather than in your body. That somehow that is a reflection of that.
That's a good point. You know, I never even thought of that. I didn't. I think that really kind of ties the image together. It's a great variation on what we've been talking about, because it's growing and it emerges through our thoughts and our fantasies, but the physical reality is, when you look, there's no baby there.
Come on in. Come on into the nursery.
Dreams show the secret life of the expectant father. There's a hidden dimension to men's experience that our culture has not affirmed or represented.
When a man really wants to have a child, he dreams about it. He sees the children in his sleep. And then maybe a month later, you find out the lady is pregnant.
Aborigines take their dreaming literally. For them, spiritual conception is a reality. The new life that has chosen to enter a woman has originated in the distant dreamtime past, waiting to be dreamt into the mother's womb by the father when he sees the baby's totem or non-human counterpart in his dream.
You know, men have dreams, and they dream about a bird or a butterfly or thunder, storm, crocodile, buffalo. My father, when he had a dream that he's going to have a baby, he dreamed about a female crocodile cruising along the coast.
The ancestral spirits of the dreamtime are present in the modern landscape as animals, plants, and natural formations. All Aborigines connect to the universe through a sacred totem which binds them spiritually to their creation ancestor. For Tiwi leader Eleanor Brooks, the connection is through the crocodile. It's a symbolic identity called a dreaming, which is inherited from her father's clan and which she shares with her cousins.
Our creation came from the spirit world. My grandfather's dreaming is crocodile, and I'm a crocodile in this day and age.
My son and daughter will be crocodile. And then from there on, my son and their son will be crocodile.
David and Jennifer's children were dreamed into existence at this special beach. For their clan, it is the place where the dreamtime spirit makes contact with the human mother.
We call this place baby dream, because in our family, all the babies come from here. Spirits walk up here, come up this way.
The babies are in the dream time. If you don't dream, you don't have no children.
Thursdays, nuts and bolts, tools of the trade, the everyday and the extraordinary. Movie Mag.
Centuries, the choreography of our dreams may have changed, but even without the appearance of angels or other sacred images, our dreams today can still deliver messages which provide inspiration and spiritual guidance.
If you probe a dream far enough, you'll generally find the spiritual element in the dream, whatever it is, particularly if it's a dream that has emotional impact.
Psychoanalyst and author June Singer is a renowned expert on the life and works of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. By the 1930s, Jung's field research among African tribes and other cultures had made him aware that a dream is an undisguised message from the unconscious, but coded in a symbolic language which only the dreamer can truly understand.
Jung, from his study in anthropology and from his many travels, knew that people in every country do dream, and that they attach different kinds of meanings to their dreams. Their meanings come out of their own cultural experience. But Jung understood the dreams as having a kind of universal or archetypal significance. Archetypal means universal. The dream symbols are images of what Jung called the archetypes. It's almost like a range of mountains with the archetypes being the bedrock, and the very peak is the personal level. But it's all somehow united. There's a connection all the way down to the very bottom. And this is what the symbol does. It leads us down. It leads us into depth. You can't go to a book of symbols and see all the ideas that's attached to a certain image and assume that you can just apply those willy-nilly to a person's dream, because the symbol has to grow out of the individual's unconscious. It has to relate to his or her problems or his or her concerns.
Dream symbols emerging from the unconscious will be colored not only by the dreamer's unique life experiences, but also their own cultural background. For Native Americans, their sacred traditions and beliefs will be expressed through the images in their dreams.
I feel all dreams have a spiritual component. When I go into dream analysis with Indian people, I analyze their dream by trying to get them to see the significance to the spirit world and to their real life. To understand the dream, you have to understand the spirit world.
Richardson is a Penobscot Indian and clinical psychologist who uses dream analysis in the counseling of Native Americans. For many Indians, the sacred sweat lodge ceremony is an important ritual to prepare the mind and body for dreaming.
The sweat lodge is very important to Indian people. It's a purification, and all Indians seek some method of purifying themselves so that you can hear and respond to the spirits. The Indians and all indigenous people tend to put more credence in the animals in the spirit world. The eagle is especially significant to us. If a majority person was dreaming about an eagle or a buffalo, it would have a far greater difference, the meaning, than it would to an Indian.
Sergeant Ursula Roach is a military police instructor in the U.S. Army Reserves and a Hopi Indian. She found herself in conflict when her Hopi pacifism ran up against her country's demand that she fight in Operation Desert Storm.
My Hopi name is Eagle's Cry, Kwatukti. When they told me I was going to the Persian Gulf, I was shocked. I knew that my involvement there was a history-making event for my people. Only one of 3 women from the Hopi tribe were actually in the Persian Gulf participating in a war which was contrary to the Hopi belief.
Ursula returned from Kuwait traumatized by this conflict of loyalties and plagued by the memory of a very disturbing dream.
What I had seen in this dream was an eagle that was tethered to a perch on top of the homes in my village on Second Mesa. And I saw myself as that eagle. The dream was interrupted during one of the Scud alerts. We had to just jump into your protective gear and grab your weapons and run for the shelters that we had built.
The meditation experience in the sweat lodge is a powerful psychological aid for encouraging visions and dreams. Dr. Richardson is very accustomed to the ceremony, but for Ursula, it is her first time.
Once the flaps of the doorway were pulled down, it was pitch dark.
It's the center of the earth, and from there, comes the steam and breath of the Great Spirit and all the spirits.
The steam was scalding, a searing, burning sensation. And so what I did was to clear my mind and then slow down my breathing. This dream that I had flashed in front of me. I saw the tether breaking.
And you talked a lot about the eagle. And with your people, the eagle is very, very important. And as I understand, when they go out, they only take one eagle or so and they leave the other there. So you always had respect for completeness.
The Hopi people used the eagle for ceremonial purposes. Once full grown and when it's the time for them, they will be sacrificed and their spirits will be allowed to soar, taking the prayers of the Hopi people with them. I didn't know until we had that sweat that the tether was my military duty in the Persian Gulf. And at the moment that that tether broke, I just got this overwhelming feeling of release.
So then you were really the eagle.
The sacrificial eagle.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I didn't get killed and I did return safely home, after that it was forgotten until the other night when we had the sweat, when I got the flashback of that. And I realized that there was more to it than that, and there was a reason for that dream. My spirit was allowed to soar, and soar back to me.
I want you to realize that the dream was real. The sweat was real. That's real, and that's you. You are finally whole.
Thank you.
Of all the archetypes of the psyche, the one that was most important for Jung was the archetype of wholeness, which in a certain sense is the archetype of the divine. Not the divine that's somewhere distant, but the divine that permeates all of existence. And Jung then was very eager to watch in the dreams for evidence that showed us that there is a world beyond ourselves, that there is an invisible world to which we can connect, and that dreams are an avenue to that world. I had a strange dream that had a very otherworldly quality about it. I heard a voice. The voice was stern and harsh. The voice said, "Policemen are not supposed to listen to or play music while on duty." It was almost like the voice of God. It was a command. And when I awoke and I began to reflect on the dream, and then I saw this policeman walking down the street, and out of some of these windows coming nice jazzy music, and the policeman is kind of, he gets into the rhythm a little bit, he begins to dance, and then all of a sudden it's as though he hears this voice of God saying to him, "Policemen are not supposed to listen to or play music while on duty." And there's a street musician playing, and he reaches out toward the musician, and then he turns away, and he looks very sad, downcast, and he resumes his rigid pace and goes on. Now, on the personal or objective level, I am the policeman, and I am the one who wants to listen to and play music. And I am not allowed to do this. Inside all of us, there are these two voices. So there's this tension between order and spontaneity, control and creativity. Dreams are supposed to help us bridge the opposites. And the phrase that bridges the opposites is "while on duty." Because that means that even though you value the policeman, he's not on duty all the time. And when he's not on duty, then you can listen to and play music. It's almost as though that dream maker is watching you, seeing what you need, and providing it for you.
persecuted in their own country, these Tibetan monks are continuing in exile in northern India, a tradition of ancient spiritual practices which dates back 17,000 years. It is known as Bon Buddhism. All Buddhists believe that the material world is a dreamlike illusion into which they are born and reborn. It is an endless cycle of reincarnation, which can only be broken through profound spiritual enlightenment. This enlightenment is a mystical state they call clear light. For these monks, it can be achieved through strict mental disciplines, chanting, prayer, and meditation during the day, and in sleep, special exercises to understand the true nature of dreams.
In Buddhism, we believe that every phenomena, no matter if you're awake or you're sleeping, it's like a dream. If you understand the dream is not real, dream and awakened state become the same thing.
Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche is the reincarnation of a 7th century Tibetan Lama, or teacher. After several years teaching in the West, Tenzin returns to the Teshi Menri Ling Monastery, where he spent the first half of his life as a monk. It was here that Tenzin came to understand that any dream, no matter how real and compelling, is always only a projection of his own thoughts. The conscious reality of our waking world is equally imaginary, and all human problems derive from attaching meaning to what are only mental illusions.
If one does not understand everything as illusion, things which we see as real, we are caught into those realities. We are not able to liberate from them.
To appreciate that life is an illusion, Tibetan Buddhists must learn to become mentally vigilant and self-aware during both dreaming and waking life. This rigorous training starts at an early age.
When I was 10 years old, I entered this monastery and I became a monk and stayed for 15 years.
Like Tenzin before them, these young monks are presenting themselves to the abbot for religious instruction. The abbot will listen to their recent dreams and use them as a kind of spiritual barometer which shows the condition of their souls. The nature and content of their dreams, he tells the boys, will determine the level of teaching they are ready for. The blue string is a reminder to be mindful during the day, and the kasha grass for placing under the pillow at night will induce a dream which they must recount before their next lesson.
For us, dream is very important. 1/3 of our life, we sleep, so it is very important to discover what is happening emotionally in our night. That is the place where you can discover yourself better. Therefore, dream practice is very important.
Just as the dreaming mind must be exercised, so too must the waking mind. For mental agility, monks practice together daily, furiously debating the doctrine of their religion.
They move their arms in order to energize their body. When they hit their hands, they believe there is a channel there which sharpens their mind.
A sharp mind must be maintained during sleep as well, where a monk trains in dream awareness so that he can confront the illusions of his dreams.
Just before you fall asleep, you try to remember all the experiences of the daytime and remind yourself that these are dreams. When we do our dream practice, we have 4 sessions, which includes 4 different positions, 4 different ways of focusing. The position you sleep has influence on the breathing, and the breathing has influence on your mind. Because without the breathing, or we call prana, the mind has no function.
Through practice of the control of energy or breathing, once you have that experience, then it is very easy to realize the dream, and you can control.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader of the Tibetan Buddhists. As the 14th reincarnation of their original great teacher, this Dalai Lama has unbroken memories of several recent earthly lives, and so his own dreams permit him an unusual perspective.
I'm quite skeptical towards my own dream. Generally, dream is a dream. So not at all is it reliable. No meaning. Just come. Then occasionally you might get some dream which can take seriously. I met the 5th Dalai Lama in my dream, and also some previous important Lama, a few centuries ago. But that's not quite rare.
The 5th Dalai Lama of the 17th century was famous for attending to his dreams and shares with this successor an enthusiasm for preserving the ancient Tibetan Buddhist practices. This monastery still performs the original sacred Bon Tibetan dances. In this annual ceremony of the 29 female protective deities, the monks take on the spirits embodied in the masks and dance to enact the triumph of benevolent forces over evil.
These masks are representation of the guardian protectors. When I'm dreaming and when I need help, I often call my guardians to help, and particularly things which I cannot do by myself or when I'm awake. When one is aware that one is dreaming, you can change things, a lot of things that you cannot do during the awakened state.
Being aware of a dream while dreaming it is called being lucid. For Buddhists, this is a prerequisite for enlightenment. When a monk learns to become conscious during a dream, to know he is in the midst of something unreal, he can then control the images. This way, he begins to realize that thoughts, whether conscious or unconscious, are all mental illusions.
You must recognize dream's dream. When you're sleeping, till your memory remains there, conscious remains there, constantly thinking. You actually realize, now I'm dreaming. Now that is important.
A lucid dream is that you, while you're dreaming, through your practice, that you know you're dreaming, and then you know it's a dream and you can change things.
Tenzin's favorite example is a lucid dream which allowed him to do the impossible, to fulfill a request from his dead mother. She came to him in his sleep, asking for a memorial shrine, a stupa.
In Tibetan tradition, it is very important if somebody dies that you build something for them. It can be stupa, a statue, or sacred text. So stupa represents that. It's called sign of rebirth, cheta. I was in Italy and I had a lucid dream with my mother exactly a year after she passed away. We were here in Dolanji under the Bodhi tree, and she seems very sad. She wanted me to build a stupa. I was very aware that I was in Italy, so it was very difficult to build it there. I thought that I could ask the help of a lot of guardian protectors. I looked up into the clouds near the tree, and I saw a lot of animal-headed guardians, like Garuda, the mystic bird, lion, parrot. But they agreed to help. I heard a sound, enormous sound. Together with sound, the tree was transformed into the stupa, and my mother seemed to be happy, and I felt very good afterward, which I didn't feel before dream. It was like I couldn't make that stupa for her while I was in Italy, but in dream I made it.
Tibetan Buddhists believe that the experience of the dream is the same as that of the soul right after death, or what they call the bardo state. This is why consciousness in dreaming is so important.
There is a strong connection between the dream and the bardo state, the period of the intermediate state of the death, When we fall asleep, we are in touch with ourselves. That means in a pardo state, one can be aware of oneself during the process of the death.
The intermediate, or bardo state, is a dreamlike condition occurring right after death which confronts the soul with blissful and horrific images. If a monk has mastered lucid dreaming, he can see the intermediate world for what it is, just his own thought forms and a mental illusion. Without mastery of his dreams, he will not perceive the illusion and his soul will reincarnate instead of achieving everlasting bliss.
If you gain that experience through practice, through training, then that we usually call clear light. Now I'm in the state of dying. So once you gain that experience, or then the intermediate state, very easily you can remember.
I had a dream that I was a little girl.
Explore the mysteries and meanings of the unconscious mind when you order The Power of Dreams, a compelling 3-part series from the Discovery Channel, now available on home video.
Everyone dreams about all the important things in their lives, and their ultimate and inevitable death is on that list of important things.
Unitarian minister Reverend Jeremy Taylor counsels through dream work to help people understand their spiritual issues. For many years, Taylor, his wife Kathy, and a group of San Francisco friends have been meeting every week to talk about their dreams.
This is a group made up of older women who came together because of their interest in enriching their experience at the end of their lives and preparing for the transition of death.
Well, I'll reread my dream. I was swimming in what should have been Alaska waters, but it was warm water. I was pregnant, early stages, not showing too much. In the water with me were beluga whales and fish. I was particularly aware of the beluga whales. I had on a cape, and why, I don't know. As I swam about, one whale came within 10 feet of me, and I thought, wait till I get to tell my child about this, how he or she was that close to a whale in utero. Then a big whale came by, and my cape touched his snout, and my foot barely touched him, too. And that would make quite a story for the child. I woke up because Pete was yelling at me, my cat.
It's a wonderful metaphor to me to have, for an 80-year-old self, to have a baby inside that says that there is no beginning, there is no end, we just go on and on and on and on.
And in my version of the dream, to the extent that the whales are images of the divine, the dream is saying there's a kind of divine vitality which the dream embodies in this wonderful natural figure.
Do you remember how you felt?
I liked a lot. The whale, I felt good about that. It was kind of a fun thing when I realized how good I was feeling. I was feeling good without the sex, is what I'm trying to say. And my not being particularly afraid of it, I felt like it was something very special. It's a place I'd never been and was terribly fascinated to see. I was in a state of wonderment. I didn't even think about breathing.
You are like a baby in utero.
Yeah, exactly.
Breathing in the water.
And for me, the cape fits in there because the cape is all-enveloping. And it's that all-enveloping aspect of me, the dreamer, that touches, that makes the first contact.
It was having to do with that touch where your foot somehow touched the whale.
The joy of contact in that moment suggests to me that all of those moments throughout my life are simply like brushing up against this great natural consciousness in the depths. The pregnancy suggests death, being born into a new life. That when the dream child is born, the waking body dies. Whale males are also perceived to be the animal harbingers of the divine. The specific imagery is unique to Eileen, but the affirmation that some significant part of life continues is universal.
Something has definitely changed with my 80th birthday. Something has definitely changed. It's all been leading up to this in a way. You could see the whole thing.
As I'm listening to all of this, I remember living with my mother in the last few years of her life, and this is the kind of stuff that was happening for her, opening up and allowing stuff to come through that she had built walls against before.
It's just been dawning on me more and more and more that this is where I'm at, and this is me, and I accept it. And
everybody in the group has a deep and ultimate concern for their relationship with the divine. The dream that Eileen shared today could be shared around an Aboriginal campfire and would be recognized as a big dream, as a dream coming from what they call the dream time. It is the divine ground of being beyond time and space.
The Tiwi Aborigines also accept death as a transition into the great dream. Just as they believe that they have been created from an ancestral dream, so they understand that it is to that dream time they will return.
We know that if we die, we go back to the dream world. We go back to our world. My body stays here, but my spirit goes back to my grandfather.
The Tiwi believe they must make this journey back to their ancestors because of the first death during the dream time. This is explained by a tragedy involving the infant son of Purukupali, the first man, and his unfaithful wife, Bhima.
Purukupali didn't know she had a lover, his brother Tapara, that she met in the bush. Off she went and left the baby with her husband, but the kid was hungry. He called out and she answered him back, "I'm on my way, I'm coming, I'm coming." The baby was already dead. There was a fight between Tapara, the moon man, and Purukupali. And then Purukupali lifted him up. He was walking along the beach saying, he said, "Everybody will die and we follow my son." And Purukupali walked with his son in his arm. And they both drowned. And that's how death came to the Tiwi people. That was the first death.
Decorated with ochre, Paddy Henry is in mourning for his wife, who died 3 months ago. On this day, her spirit will finally be dispatched to the dream time with the help of the same ancient funeral rites which accompanied the original death of Purukupali and his son.
When somebody dies, the spirit still stays with the relatives. The person that we're dancing for is not at rest until the ceremony is completed. When people die, they go back to their own dream time. The dreaming was turtle. They do the turtle dance. They put one arm up this way and one arm this way. That's how the turtle moves. On the poles, you see them lines going across. That's a turtle moving, going to that place.
When you die, when your spirit goes, we believe that we go to the spirit world that I frequently visit in my dreams. It's like going back to the creation time. It's going back to where everything started.
One day I'll have a dream. Then I'll know it's time for me to go. He wanted that ceremony as soon as possible. He knows that his wife is waiting for him. We all feel the same. We belong to the dream time. This is only a holiday camp.